Peace to the gods and the goddesses of the nation, of the land, and of all creation. I hope everybody doing well, on this Saturday, making things that's more productive than harmful to yourself and to others. We have to come to realization that we have to be a living example of greatness to not only better ourselves but to better those around us, because each one teach one at the end of the day. And that's exactly what I'm about to do to y'all right now. I told y'all that I was coming up with some more lectures regarding ancient Africa, the times that was before Egypt, the times that was for the Zulu tribe and all of these nations that's current today in Africa. So, without further ado, let me bring this up to y'all. You already know.
I'm just scratching the surface. I'm just scratching the surface.
What's good, family? Now, what I want to delve into is mainly the San tribe. Some people call them the Khoisan, some people call them the Bushmen, which they feel is disrespectful. So if you calling them the Bushmen, do not call them that, because they take that as purely disrespect. Now, without further ado, what I want to get through people's head is to let them know that, yeah, we pride Egypt. We pride everything about Egypt. Egypt is like one of the greatest things that's ever been inside of our African society and our African minds. So, like I said, let me give my disclaimer. In no shape or form am I throwing shade at Egypt or no African civilization that's around today. Because at the end of the day, these are our nations and these are our empires. So we have to treat them with respect. And if we're not treating them with respect, then we need to stop even being a scholar or saying anything, opening our mouth to fucking begin with. If you don't have nothing good to say about the black nation, then don't open your motherfucking mouth. Now, can you acknowledge some of the shit that the African nations have done and not done? Yeah. But as long as you include both the good and the bad, you totally all right with me. Now, what I want people to know is that we have history that's dating hundreds and thousands of years. At minimum, hundreds and thousands of years, if not millions or billions, that the Africans have been on this earth. And not only, just mainly to the continent of Africa, but we migrated to other lands as well. You have some of our tribes that navigated to like Australia. You have some of our tribes that navigated to the current America that I and some of those who's watching this video live in today. So we have to understand that the Africans not only founded the greatness of Africa, but the greatness of the world in a whole. Because we traveled to all these different civilizations and modernized them to be able to get them out of their caves and so they could live and build a society on the earth. Because if you know anything about the history, anything that was even in Africa to the point of it being outside of Africa, people dwelled in caves, hiding, because they were scared. They didn't know. You got to think about it. You had people seeing things in the stars, like the shooting comets and all of that, and they didn't know what these things were, so they looked at them as signs, even though they were, because that's how they was able to tell the seasons and the days and the hours and the years. You get what I'm saying? When they eventually learn to not be afraid of these things and to use these things to better their civilization. So you got to understand, a lot of people was dwelling inside of caves until the Africans came and freed them from them caves so they could live in society and don't have to live in darkness and not have to live in a mentality that was not going to better themselves. They was living in fear. And the Africans came to civilize them, to let them know, okay, you got to hunt and gather. You have to farm. You have to raise a civilization. You have to learn. You have to learn the seasons. You have to learn the times. You have to learn the places to be at certain times. So you got to understand that the Africans just didn't civilize Africa. They civilized the whole world. But in order to appreciate what we have now, we have to appreciate what we had before, when we didn't have nothing. When we only had the day-to-day lives and experiences that we was having at that point in time, in order to better ourselves and to better our children and for them to better their children in that effect. So you have to go back to the point of the time where all of the resources that we have today wasn't available to those people. So those people had to learn things the hard way. Everything was a first lesson teaching for them. Every little thing that they went through was a first lesson teaching. So they had to adjust to that for the next time that it happened, for them to get better results. Now, what I really want to bring to you guys is the San tribe. The San, Khoisan, however you want to call them. Just don't call them the Bushman tribe. Now, the slides that I'm about to be giving to you guys, because you know I love to give my slides, even though it makes my videos long, even if the video is long, you have to appreciate the knowledge that I'm giving to you, because I'm only going to give you the things that I feel are the truth, and for you to go research these things for yourself. Always go research things for yourself, because not in no shape or form am I saying that I'm the smartest man on the earth and not understand that I'm not. There's plenty of people out here smarter than me. There's plenty of people out here that has this information. It may be people on YouTube that will furnish you with this information. But for now, since I haven't seen it, I'm going to furnish you with this information. And I'm going to bring you that knowledge. And I'm going to bring you those teachers that will not only better you in your future, but help you understand your past. And understand your family's past and their family and so on and so on. So these slides that I'm about to bring into you today is based on the San tribe. This is a tribe that was mainly in the time for today located in southern Africa. But if you know anything about the southern Africa, you know that they moved from Central Africa because of the simple fact of Central Africa holding the world's, if not the first or second biggest rainforest that's on the planet today. It's either first, second, or third, because you have rainforests that's in Australia, you have rainforests that's in South America, and you have rainforests that's in Africa today. So it could be the first, second, or third. I'm not sure, but I know that's where the original man stepped forth from, because this is the place where all the animals dwell to because of the rain and the vegetation that was in that area at that time. You got to understand, a lot of the world was a wasteland and deserts until the world started filling itself up with the water that is vital to these rainforests and vital to these plants. You get what I'm saying to you? So they had to dwell in a place where the habitation was good, where the climate was good, in order for their plants to grow, in order for them to farm, in order for it to bring animals there, which they hunted, and how they figured out the hunting. These were smart people. In no shape or form was these people dumb in any shape or form. These was very smart people. First slide. Modernization programs. Despite lifestyle changes, they have provided wealth of information in anthropology and genetics. One broad study of African genetic diversity completed in 2009 found that San people were among 5 populations in the highest measured levels of genetic diversity among 120 distinct Africans. What does that mean? That's basically telling you that these people are the founders of you. Your DNA is connected with the San tribe. The majority of the humans today DNA resonates some type of way with the San tribe. Certain sign groups are one of 14 known extant ancestral population clusters. That is groups of populations with common genetic ancestry who share ethnic ethnicity and similarities in both their culture and the properties of their languages. Now, this is a picture of a San woman. Now, I know they may have Kung there, but this is another name that they call these people. You got to understand that they had different sectors of their tribe, and each tribe had their own identification with that specific tribe, but they share a common goal and a common language with all the rest of the people in Africa at that point of time. If you know anything about the Sanj people, you know that they have a clique with the way that they talk with each other. The Zulu tribe have it, the Zimbabwe, all of these, a lot of people adopted that clicking in their tongue. You get what I'm saying? This is a story right here written by a San tribe woman who came, to America and talked to a journalist about her life. You get what I'm saying? I ain't got the book in here, but this is something that you could go look at if you really want to study up on the San tribe. It's called The Life and Words of a Kung Woman. Nisa. It's called Nisa. You get what I'm saying? In Khoisan society, men and women live together in a non-exploitative manner, displaying a striking degree of equality between the sexes. This band-level society used traditional methods of hunting and gathering for subsistence in the 1970s. Today, the great majority of the Khoisan people live semi-sedentary lives near villages of Bantu pastoralists. Traditionally, especially among Khoisan women, generally collect plants, foods, water, providing 60 to 80% of the group's sustenance, while men hunt. However, these gender roles are not strict, and people do all jobs as needed with little or no shame. Matriarch society. Women been equal amongst men throughout the entire African history. We looked up to our women. The women nurtured our children. The women nurtured us from them being our mothers. So this is something that you have to take into account and realize that the majority of the African societies dating from now until back then were mainly matriarch societies where women held prominent roles in that tribe or civilization at that point in time. Women generally take care of children and prepare food. However, this does not restrict them to their homes, since these activities are generally done with or close to others, so women can socialize and help each other. Men are also engaged in these activities. This was society where everybody was proven equal. Why? Because everybody knew each other's worth. You get what I'm saying? Khoisan people call themselves the Jo Honsi. Their material culture is very basic, since they are nomadic or semi-nomadic and cannot carry many things, which they did, of course. But we're going to skip past that and just give you the basic knowledge, which I'm pretty sure that you could differentiate between the bullshit and the real. Today, they use color beads to decorate their hairs and necks and have abandoned animal skins to cover their bodies. Where do you see a lot of animal skin represented in Africa? Egypt. There's plenty of pictures of the Egyptians wearing what? Animal skins. Since the 1960s, Khoisan people used cotton fabrics as clothes, given by Bantu neighbors in exchange of medicinal plants Khoisan collect in the bush and in exchange of manual work in the fields Bantus possess. Khoisan still fabricate sophisticated bows and arrow for hunting. But that's not where I want you to, just take this at. Look at what it says. Since the 1960s, Khoisan people used cotton fabrics as clothes, given by Bantu neighbors in what? In exchange of medicinal plants Khoisan collect in the bush. That means these people how can you call these people just regular hunters and gatherers when they already knew the medicine and plants used to help people? Remember, they shaman. They use these medicines and plants and stuff to be able to help heal people. And for all this time that we thought that Imhotep was the father of modern medicine, when in all actuality it was the Khoisan. It was the San tribe. For hundreds of thousands of years, these people used their custom in their land to benefit themselves. They learned these things. They searched out these things. These are not something that's just taught to you. These people learned how to do this on their own. And not only did they learn how to do it amongst their tribe, they brought it out and brought it to other tribes. These were doctors. Before the concept of a doctor was even created. Khoisan people recognize a supreme being, Ku Zu Zuba Hua, who was the creator and upholder of life. Like other African high gods, he also punishes man by means of the weather. Now, think about that. If you know anything about the weather, if you know anything about hurricanes and tropical storms of that nature, where do the majority of them come from? Africa. The majority of storms build off of the coast of Africa and make it over here to America and other places. These are the customs that these people had. They knew that it was elements and spirits inside of these elements that made things happen through this earth. Khoisan practiced shamanism to communicate with the spirit world and to cure what they call star sickness. The communication with the spirit world is done by a natural healer entering a trance state and running through a fire, thereby chasing away bad spirits. Star sickness is cured by laying hands on a disease. Do you understand this? They believe that our sicknesses and our trauma and our hurt and our pain came from the heavens. That it came from a awesome being that seen what was going on and reversed things around to where it will affect the masses. This is bigger than just earthly things here that these people was looking at. This is not the definition of a hunter and gatherer. If they knew the elements and knew what brought forth the elements and where sicknesses came from and how to handle these sicknesses and get rid of these sicknesses. You get what I'm saying? Back to more about the women. The women thus derived a lot of self-esteem from their contribution to their families. The vivacious, self-confident women forged foraged many miles from the men without weapons, despite the possibility of encountering large predators such as lions and leopards. They did not need permission from the men or assistance from them in their food production work. Men and women could be absent from the camps for days at a time, so there was no inequality with men being gone while women maintained the home. The Jew Honsi valued the sexes nearly equally. Matriarch society. Right now, you see on this slide is the Kung of Naye Naye. Now, what were their social practices? Healing through trance dancing among the Jew Honsi is a routine part of their daily existence. Now, you not only see this with them, but you also see it with tribes like the Dogon tribe, the Zulu Nation tribe, you got Botswana, you have all of these, the Congo tribe, you have so many different African tribes, and what do they all have mostly in common? Their dance and their music. Even in the current time that we're in today, what uplifts African Americans and African societies that's all over the world? Music. That connects us. This is music and dance. This is something that we was born with inside of us, the spirit of rhythm, and to make things happen through words and spoken words. That's why you see a lot of people say you can speak things into existence. Hold on. Go to this next one. Listen. Look how peaceful these people was. And you remember I said this in an earlier video that the African society, namely the Egyptians at that time when they first was getting conquered, they was too friendly. They let outsiders come in and take over their land. And here we see where that comes from. The Jew Honsi are quite flexible. Territorial boundaries are vaguely defined and not defended. The environmental reason for this flexibility is a wide variation in annual rainfall in any given location. That means that they went where the water went. The ability of people to move to another area which has a greater rainfall ensures survival for all. They have no living memory of fighting over territories. Why? Because everybody had a common goal at that point in time. Everybody, they had their common goals, was to sustain themselves, build their families, and build their communities and prosper. Another thing that shows you just how smart these people really were, and that hunting and gathering was just the small part of their society. For the Jew Honsi, tracking used to be, and to some extent still is, an important aspect of their hunting through today. The three men mostly used their skills for tourists and trophy hunters. This is what they do now for money. But this is what they did for the sustain of their life. The Jew Honsi hunt large animals such as various species of antelopes with poisoned arrows. They have to be able to follow the footprints of the wounded animal across the bush for many hours until they finally drop to the ground and die. Human survival for eons has depended not only on their skill in shooting animals, but also on their ability to track them and retrieve the meat. That incredible ability extends to tracking humans and interpreting what they had been doing. You see what they don't even have to see you. They could track you and be able to tell exactly what you've been doing. A skill which in fact helps foster their feigned peacefulness. Mind you, I told you, this is what damned African nation, being too peaceful. In 1960, Lorna Marshall pointed out an interesting observation she had learned from her friends. Everyone has unique footprints, the Jew Holmesy told her, and they could normally distinguish which individuals made which tracks. It was thus impossible to conceal what one had done, which helped prevent stealing. So just from the way the surrounding area looked and the footprints that you put down, they could tell that it was you there and that you did such and such. You get what I'm saying? If you see right here, here's a picture of these same men who used to go out and hunt and gather. You get what I'm saying? Here's them, and they show you how they are with their kids and how family is so important to them. You get what I'm saying? Now, this right here is a bunch of bullshit, but I'm going to say it because we all know that the African societies at that point in time was connected in some shape or form through family and through common civilization. It says not related to Bantu tribes. The San are descendants of early Stone Age ancestors. Clans and loosely connected family groups follow seasonal game migrations between excuse me between the mountain range and coastline. They made their homes in caves, under rocky overhangs, and in temporarily shelters. These migratory people do not domesticate animals or cultivate crops, even though their knowledge of both flora and fauna is vast. You get what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure that that is just one analysis of one, you know, person that was studying. I'm pretty sure that they domesticated animals, you know, to be able to farm. The San characterized thousands of plants. If they didn't cultivate, how they know about the plants? The Sans categorize thousands of plants in their uses, from nutritional to medicinal, mystical to recreational, and lethal. Sand men have a formidable reputation as trackers and hunters. Sand trackers will follow the spoor tracks of an animal across virtually any kind of surface terrain. Their skills even enable them to distinguish between the spoor of a wounded animal and that of the rest of the herd. And as you can see, here's the sand. Here's one of the Khoisan in this picture right here. As you see right here, here is some of the art and things that they drew up for themselves. Now, when shaman, medicine men painted on eland, they didn't. That was just what you just seen in the painting, you know, right there. By putting paint to rocks, they will be able to open portals to the spirit world. When San rock paintings are found in rocky areas of the KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, and Western Cape provinces, the San mainly use red, ranging from orange to brown, white, black, and yellow in their paintings. Blue and green were never used. Red was derived from the hematite, red ochre, and yellow from limonite, yellow ochre. Working the soil is contrary to the world order established by the god. Some of the groups also revere the moon. The most important spiritual being to the southern sign was Kagan, the trickster deity. He created many things and appears in numerous myths where he could be foolish or wise, tiresome or helpsome. Who did that sound like? That sound like Set. The word Kagan can be translated as mantis. This has led to belief that the San worship the praying mantis. However, Kagan is not always a praying mantis, as a mantis is only one of his manifestations. He could also turn into an eland, a hare, a snake, or a vulture. He can assume many forms when he is not in one of his animal forms. Who did that sound like to you? Who does that sound like to you? So, If these people right here use the importance of certain characteristics of certain animals to attribute them to deities that they revered and that they respected, who else did that? I'll let you answer it. Who else did it? As you see here, what they doing? Worship, dancing around the fire. Now, here's going to be one more because I don't want to, make this video too long. Of prime importance in all San groups is the ritual dance that serves to heal the group. The great medicine or healing dance and the rain dance. So they did rain dances too? Hundreds and thousands of years before the Native Americans? But people have the nerve to say that Africans didn't travel all across this globe and civilize all nations? In the rain dance were rituals in which everyone participated. During these dances, the women usually sat around a central fire as they sang and clapped their hands. The men then first danced around the women in the clockwise direction and then vice versa. Oh, that sounds just like a Native American dances. Direction and then vice versa. As the dance increased in intensity, the dancers reached trance-like altered state of consciousness where were transported into the spirit realm where they could plead for the souls of the sick. Do you understand where the practices that we've seen throughout history come from? Not only do they come from the San tribe, but the majority of us, if not all of us, come from the San tribe. The diversity within their DNA resonates with every other human on this earth. In order to know the now, you have to know the past. In order to know yourself and why you having these thoughts and feelings inside of your body like you already used to certain things, is because of your ancestors that we're reading about right now. Get with the movement, family. Learn your history, family. Know your people, family. Because if you don't know your past, how can you understand your present and how can you predict your future? This is only part one because it's like 30 more slides that I got on here, but I'm going to keep it short and I'm going to say I love y'all, family. Make sure that you like and subscribe my videos because by liking and subscribing and pressing that notification button, you not only put me in a good state, but you also present my work to the masses. And that's what we need to do. We need to get our messages out to the masses. So not only can our circle know the truth, but everyone would know the truth. Until next time we speak, peace and blessings to the gods and the goddesses of the nation and of the land. And I hope everybody have a good weekend.